Greetings, Earthlings! Welcome back to 7th Street, and welcome back to yet another top 5 favorite horror movies from the year, this time 1988. Now, before we start this countdown, I would like to inform you guys that there is a new Facebook page and upcoming Indiegogo campaign for a movie that I wrote and am going to be directing, called Mutant Vampires from the Planet Neptune, which is heavily inspired by the films of Don Dohler, but also films like The Incredible Melting Man, and of course with a title like that, Killer Clowns from Outer Space. So anyways, guys, make sure that you click on the link below and go to the Facebook page for Mutant Vampires from the Planet Neptune and like it, follow it, and anticipate seeing the Indiegogo campaign for it here shortly. And also make sure that you like and subscribe to this channel if you like this content and want to see more videos coming. Make sure that you comment below. And without further ado, let's get right into this. Child's Play.
You stupid bitch! You filthy slut! Did you fuck with me?
You know, I had a little bit of trouble when it came to picking the number 5 spot. It was almost given to the SOV splatter classic Slime City, but I could not in all good conscience leave Child's Play off this list, for obvious reasons. The Chucky franchise is one of the most successful horror franchises ever, spanning 4 decades, with each entry being actually pretty decent. The movie opens with a wounded serial killer named Charles Lee Ray running from the cops. He enters a toy store where he performs some sort of black magic ritual before the store is consumed by an explosion. Sometime later, we are introduced to little Andy and his mother on the day of Andy's birthday, where all he wants for his birthday is a good guy doll, which is the hot new toy. After scraping some money together, Andy's mother finds a homeless man selling one of the dolls that he found in the ruins of the old toy store. After bringing the doll home, Andy's babysitter is then pushed out of a window, and the cops seem to suspect little Andy, but Andy blames his doll, Chucky. We all know how this turns out. Chucky is possessed by the serial killer from the beginning, and he takes revenge on those who have wronged him, and then discovers that his only way back into human form is going to be through Andy.
Well, John, it's been fun, but I gotta go. I have a date with a 6-year-old boy.
I've said this before, but I think the biggest knock against a movie like this is the fact that the villain has become the mascot for the franchise, which has developed into sort of a campy, joke-centered series. Just like the Nightmare franchise, people started referring to these films as Chucky films and not Child's Play, and unfortunately, it was once again a case of silliness that killed the beast.
Shoot him in the heart!
But any way you look at it, the first Child's Play movie is a fantastic horror film, especially if you can remove the later films from your head and just watch it as a contained standalone movie. It's easy to see why Child's Play was such a huge hit.
You hear that, you son of a bitch? I'm gonna get you, and I'm gonna get Eddie, no matter what!
Number 4, Return of the Living Dead Part 2.
It's like we've been here before. It's like a dream, this whole thing. You, me.
Return of the Living Dead 2 is actually the first zombie movie that I ever saw. Well, I didn't actually see the whole thing. I was about 7 at the time, and the movie was playing on the Sci-Fi Channel one afternoon. I came in at about the halfway point, watched about 15 minutes, and it was just way too crazy for my little brain. But since then, I was really obsessed with zombie films, and a few months later I saw the original Night of the Living Dead for the first time, and then my real love for the genre started. Return of the Living Dead Part 2 is sort of a retelling of the first one in a few ways, just slightly modified with a happier ending. The movie even sports a lot of the same cast members as the first one. There are a few different storylines that are all going on here, and they eventually converge near the end. There's this little kid and his friends who find an old barrel of trioxin and accidentally open it, a group of yuppie teenagers, a pair of grave robbers, and they all find themselves in a fight to stay alive against the army of the living dead. Like the first one, this movie is a dark comedy with some really neat special effects. The zombies look great here. There are some really great scenes in this one, like when the dead revive while the grave robbers are in the mausoleum. I don't want to go too crazy over this one, because if you haven't seen it, I'm afraid that I wouldn't do it justice with this review, and if you have seen it, you've probably already agreed or disagreed with me here. Return of the Living Dead 2 is a zombie romp. It's great fun, and one of the most important films to my growth as a horror fan, so there you go.
Pardon me, but could you tell me who the President of the United States is?
Harry Truman.
Number 3, The Serpent and the Rainbow.
Don't let them bury me. I'm not dead.
Alright, The Serpent and the Rainbow. This is one of the best and one of the most underrated Wes Craven films of all time. I'm saying it now. Starring one of my very favorite actors, Bill Pullman, The Serpent and the Rainbow tells the story of Dennis Allen, an anthropologist who goes to Haiti after hearing rumors about a wonder drug used by black magic practitioners. Soon, Allen is threatened by the chief and endures a ton of psychological and physical torture on behalf of the cult. This movie is really beautiful. It's photographed wonderfully, and especially all the trippy mind freak scenes are amazingly done. The zombie snake woman is a really terrifying image, and the movie provides some genuine scares in it.
There's a door to the mystical. And you just walk through it.
The Serpent and the Rainbow blurs the lines between supernatural horrors like zombies and voodoo cults with real everyday horrors like being drugged and tortured. The entire movie feels like maybe this could actually happen, which is really hard to pull off with a movie that features a zombie snake woman. The Serpent in the Rainbow is criminally overlooked nowadays, which strikes me as kinda peculiar. Wes Craven is a master of horror, and after his death, it kinda seems like there was a revival of some of his more obscure work, but unfortunately, not this one. No one really seems to remember it. I mean, it did get a rather wide distribution in 1988, and it even did well in the box office, pulling in $19 million against its $7 million budget. I'll never understand why this one doesn't get more love.
In the shadows of the imagination lies the ultimate nightmare.
Number 2, Brain Damage.
I want you to beg for it now. Just like you're gonna beg for a brain.
Yeah, Brain Damage! Now there's a trip. If you've seen my 31 Days of Halloween series, you know how high I am on this one, no pun intended. Frank Henenlotter is a goddamn genius, and it really is a shame that he didn't go on to having a bigger career as a filmmaker. Basketcase, Frankenhooker, and Brain Damage are all incredibly made, campy horror movies, and Brain Damage is really the one that sticks out among the bunch. This is a tough one to describe. The movie opens with an old couple attempting to feed something in their bathroom with a plate of sheep's brains, but then they completely lose their mind when they discover that whatever it is that was in their bathroom has run away. Now we meet our main character, Brian. He awakens from his sleep to find that a slimy, slug-like purple poop creature has attached itself to the base of his brainstem, and the creature gives out this euphoric state of happiness with this blue liquid that it secretes, and Brian soon finds himself hopelessly addicted to the parasite's juices. Then the creature demands, yes, this thing can also speak, human brains in return for keeping Brian hooked up on the hallucinogenic purple slug juice.
I don't get a brain, you don't get my juice. We'll just see who cracks first. Yeah, well, we'll just see.
Yeah, this movie's just crazy, man, and that's totally what I love about it. It's the perfect movie to get stoned to. The trippy hallucinogenic moments are visually stunning at times, and then some of the more gross-out gore moments are really well done, especially the meatballs turning into pulsating brains, and the part where Brian pulls bloody chunks out of his ears. Oh, and how could you forget the slug blowjob scene? Now that's what I call getting some brain.
Feels like you got a real monster in there.
Yeah, dude, this one's fantastic, and not to mention it features a musical number from the band The Swimming Pool Cues, so, how much more could you actually ask for? Number 1!
Killer clowns from outer space.
What are you gonna do?
Knock my block off.
Yeah, come on, you guys all knew that this one was coming. Killer Clowns from Outer Space is my third favorite movie of all time, only trailing Night of the Living Dead and Rumblefish. I can still specifically remember seeing this VHS tape at the video rental store when I was a little kid, and I'm not sure why, but I was too afraid to rent it. I remember thinking, that movie must be really scary and intense. I mean, Killer Clowns?
Popcorn, why? Popcorn!
Because the clowns, that's why.
A few years after that, I finally saw the movie on AMC on their Fear Friday. Y'all remember AMC's Fear Friday, or am I the only one that remembers that? Anyway, listen to that bitchin' soundtrack. Everybody's running when the circus comes into the town. Everybody's running for the likes of the killer clown. Killer Clowns is some seriously wacky stuff with a ridiculous premise of alien clowns setting up camp near a small town, abducting the local inhabitants, and turning them into cotton candy snacks. Our heroes, Debbie and Mike, stumble upon the circus tent-shaped UFO, discover the clown aliens' plot, and now must convince the authorities that they are all in danger.
They took your wife away in a balloon? Well, you don't need a police pal, you need a psychiatrist.
Most films intentionally made as bad movies or campy movies usually blow it, but this one is surprisingly great and good-natured with awesome homages to silly sci-fi horror classics from the 50s like The Forbidden Planet, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, and most specifically The Blob.
Look, Mike, come on. Cocoons, popcorn guns, monster shadows, woo. I mean, what do you think we are?
Killer Clowns from Outer Space is that one movie where I just can't understand why someone wouldn't like it. I just have to assume that you must not get the movie. You're not supposed to take it seriously. If you take a movie called Killer Clowns from Outer Space even remotely seriously, that's completely your own fault. It's a brilliant comedy creature feature, and even as I'm talking about this right now, I have this feeling like I really want to pop in the Blu-ray and watch it.
Don't worry, Dave. All we want to do is kill you.
Alright guys, that was my top 5 favorite horror movies from the year 1988. Make sure that you comment below letting me know what your favorite horror movies from the year 1988 are. Let me know if I'm missing anything. Even looking back at the list, I realized that I forgot to give an honorable mention to Lucio Fulci's Zombie 3, which, very well could have been on this list. I really quite enjoy that movie quite a bit. Like like I said at the beginning of this video, make sure that you like and subscribe to the channel. That's the best way to support us here, and it'll let me know that you guys want to see more content. Until next time.
Make a dummy out of yourself. But you're not gonna make a dummy out of me.